Hey TechKnowStuds! I'm going to show you a few ways that I like to interact with these files and folders. And I'm going to do it in a real quick way. And the reason is because for many of my viewers, you're probably already familiar with working with files and folders. But I think there's still some value to this because if you pick up a couple tricks that can really save you a lot of time down the road, it could be worthwhile. So let's jump into just some quick ways that we can work with these files and folders. I'm on my demo laptop and I'm going to open up this test folder right here. Within here, I can right click on it and just say new folder and create a new folder. And so maybe this one is test 2 or whatever we want to call this. So there we have it. I can do the same thing actually with a file. I can create a new text file, and I do this a lot, and type in whatever the file name is. So I can call this file 2. And there you have it. So that's just a quick way to create new files and folders. Now my options increase as I install more programs. For instance, if I install Microsoft Word on here, I could actually create a Word document. So it allows me to create more documents depending on what programs I have installed on here. The other thing that I'm going to show you is a few ways I could select things. I can drag out a selection box, and whatever falls into this box, I can then select. So I can select multiple items using this selection box. There's other ways as well. For instance, the Shift key. If I click on the first item that I want to select, hold down the Shift key, and the last item, it will select everything in between. Versus the Control key, if I select something, hold down Control, and then select something else, we'll select something that's not in a range. So the Shift key can select a range versus the Control key can select individual files, or if I've got them all selected, the Control key can deselect something. Alternatively, I also have this menu item here that will allow me to select all, none, or invert the selection. So the invert selection can be really handy if you're working with a large number of files. Let me show you the sysinternals. I can select something, or maybe it's a few things, maybe it's even a range, and then go to the invert selection, and then it inverts that selection. So everything that I just had selected now is deselected, and everything else is selected. Now let's say I want to move these two files into the test 2. What I can do in this scenario right here is just highlight these two folders right here, drag them into test 2, and now it will go into test 2. Oops, maybe I didn't want that. I can do Control Z to undo that. Now it's back here in the regular test folder. Now let's say I'm going to move these two files back into test 2, but maybe I did that a few days ago. Now I want to move it back into the test folder. One thing that's nice about this is I can actually move these files between windows. So if I want to drag it back into this folder, I can just drag it over here into this folder, and now it's back in this test folder. So I can drag between these windows. I can even drag between different programs. For instance, I can drag text sometimes off of like a browser into other types of files. So it just depends on what type of programs you're using, and you can do a lot of dragging between these different devices. If I wanted to open up this folder too, I could open up this folder. So now I've got, actually let me get into test 2 here, and then I'm going to open up a copy of this folder. I can have them side by side, and now I can drag between these in this way as well. Another thing that I could do is I could actually use the navigation here on the left-hand side to navigate to wherever this file's at. So this is on the C drive, under users, under the demo user, and under the desktop. And we see this folder structure over here that we can drag to and from these different locations. So the couple different ways that we can move things around. Let's say I didn't want to just move this, but I actually wanted to create a copy of it. Well, there's several different ways that I could do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these two folders right here, and I'm going to drag them into test 2. But while I do this, I'm going to hold down the Control key. And by holding down the Control key, I create a copy of these. So that's one way to do it. Or what I could do is I could drag it over using the right mouse button. Now I get an option. Do I want to copy here? Do I want to move here? And then I can create copy. So that's another way of doing this. Or what I also can do is I could just select these two files, hit Control C, come over here, and then hit Control V, and then it's pasted in there as well. The other thing that I could also do with this is I can, with these two files selected, hit the Cut button or the Copy button. So in this case, I'm just going to do Copy, and then I can paste it over here, and then using the buttons, and then there they are right there. Let's say I want to remove this, I can just hit the Delete. The Cut is something that, there's something called the clipboard. So when I copy something, it goes into the clipboard and I can paste it somewhere else. The Cut does the same thing. It copies it into the clipboard so I can paste it somewhere else, but the Cut cuts it from the original spot. So you'll notice that they stay there until I come over here. I'm going to paste it over here, and then they disappear from the original location. So that's the cut versus copy. If I wanted to change the name of either of these files, I can do it a couple different ways. Number one, I can just click on it and give it a second and click specifically on the name of it. And by clicking the name of it, then I can change this to whatever I want it to be. The other thing too is I have a button up here. I can click to change the name, or I could do a right click and say, use the cut, copy, and paste buttons up here, the rename up here, the delete. So I can use the buttons here as well. There's actually quite a few other ways that we can do those same things as well. But I just hit the highlights of the stuff that I like to use. So hopefully, working with those, you've picked up a couple ways that you can make it more efficient with the way you deal with files and folders. And the way I work, the method that I choose just depends on what I'm doing at that time. And so having all of these options actually can make you really proficient, because there are times when you do work a lot with these different files and folders. So hopefully that was really helpful for you.